My beloved child, stop scrolling. This is not a coincidence. I put this in front of you because the moment is now. You've been standing at a door you cannot open by your own strength, and if you walk away now, that door will close for a long season. Stay with me to the very end of this message. Before it finishes, I will reveal the lie that's been holding you, confirm what I whispered when you thought I was silent, and place in your spirit the next step you've been crying out for. The enemy is counting on you to be distracted in the final moments. Don't give him that victory. Breathe, listen, obey. Every second matters. What I release at the end will shift everything. You were convinced that everything was closing down, but I have cracked open a window that no one sees yet. Even the things you buried under despair are being raised again in this very moment. I have been watching the weight you carry, the nights you could not speak your pain, and the walls that seemed to tighten every time you tried to breathe. I did not turn away. I did not wait for perfection. I stepped in when your knees buckled under hopelessness. This is your turning point. And it didn't come with fanfare or lightning. It came in the stillness where you almost gave up. Now I am writing the outcome. The doors you saw slammed are not final because I hold the key of David. And when I open, no one can shut. I saw the resignation in your spirit, the defeated whispers in your thoughts, but I also saw your tiny mustard seed of faith buried beneath the rubble, and that's what I honored. You did not know it, but the moment you almost surrendered to the dark, heaven moved on your behalf with unstoppable force. You were on the verge of bowing to the impossible, but I am commanding that mountain to bow before you instead. Keep still. I am not just doing something for you. I am reversing the very law that said it couldn't be done. What I am initiating now will send shockwaves through everything that tried to stand in your way. And this is only the beginning. Don't let your heart question why the answer didn't come when you begged for it. Don't misjudge the timing and think I delayed it out of silence or distance. I withheld the lesser thing to protect the arrival of something far beyond your understanding. The door you waited at wasn't locked. It was being rebuilt to handle what I am about to carry through it. Had I opened it when you asked, you would have walked into something premature, unripe, and unstable, and it would have harmed you. You don't need another cycle of temporary relief. You need the kind of breakthrough that cannot be shaken. For that, I was building what eyes hadn't seen, what ears hadn't heard. I've been working behind the scenes, not just for your answer, but for your upgrade. You thought the silence meant rejection, but it was actually a fierce protection from a counterfeit that looked like me, but wasn't sent by me. I know the timeline you thought you needed. I saw you watch others receive, and I know how hard it was not to wonder why I passed you by. But I didn't pass you by. I paused everything to orchestrate a divine multiplication instead of mere survival. If I had answered earlier, you would have settled for what satisfied the moment. But I am the God of fullness, not fragments. You were not being overlooked. You were being overtaken by something larger than you could see. Now, because you didn't quit, because you didn't bow to bitterness, I'm opening a door so wide it will silence every voice that said you were too late. What's coming isn't just timely, it's perfect. And the weight you hated will become the womb that birthed glory. This is the kind of opening that cannot be undone because it carries the fingerprints of heaven. You are about to walk through it, into territory no one believed you could possess. And we are still not finished. There was a night when you buried your face in your hands, hoping no one would hear the tremble in your breath, thinking that maybe your tears were too small to matter. But I was there, closer than breath, and I counted every drop that escaped your eyes. You didn't know it then, but your pain became a decree before my throne. While others walked past your weary posture, while they turned away when your voice trembled or your spirit shrank in the shadows, I leaned in. I watched the moments you didn't even pray out loud because you were too worn to speak. You only sighed. But to me, that sigh thundered louder than the praise of 10,000 voices. You did not have to scream for my attention because your suffering already held it. The sound of your soul breaking was the signal that made heaven rise in motion. I wasn't waiting for eloquence or ritual. I was moved by your honesty, your rawness, your surrender, even when you didn't know you were surrendering. In your silence, I discerned every unanswered question, every injustice you swallowed, every disappointment you tried to hide behind a forced smile. Others thought you were okay, but I knew you were collapsing slowly. And I stepped in, not with spectacle, but with precision. I began to shift realities, align events, and reroute outcomes while you wept quietly in places no one ever asked about. When they overlooked you, I stood beside you. When they ignored your struggle, I strengthened your foundation. What you called loneliness, I used as a meeting ground. And what looked like isolation became a sacred altar where I began laying the first bricks of your redemption. I did not need a crowd to see you. I did not need a pause to move on your behalf. All I needed was your heart, tender, bruised, but still open. And that was enough for me to dispatch what no one else could deliver. Even now, while you're still catching your breath from the last storm, I am preparing a declaration that will lift you beyond what human effort could reach. You did not collapse in vain. You didn't break for nothing. I collected every whisper of pain and used it to pour oil into the very cracks the world called weakness. Your broken places are now saturated with my anointing, and soon the very spots you tried to hide will become altars of glory, because you didn't need to shout to be heard. I heard you the moment your heart trembled, and I am still listening. Keep holding on. This is just beginning. I watched as the weight you carried went unnoticed by those around you. They saw your daily life, but not the war in your soul. They looked at your face, but not the flood behind your eyes. Yet, what they couldn't discern, heaven documented with precision. Your quiet agony became the catalyst for a movement not formed by human hands. Earth had no answer for your ache, no resource for your emptying. But I am not bound by what is seen. The natural realm ran out of options, but the supernatural never ran out of power. While others offered sympathy, I began forming solutions that don't exist in the systems of man. You thought you were weeping alone, but every tear you released was gathered by angels and laid before me like a petition signed by desperation and faith. And I responded, not with delay, not with uncertainty, but with a release that bypasses time and logic. Because what I am doing for you now doesn't need permission from people, paperwork from systems, or validation from voices that doubted you. When heaven responds, it writes everything. You'll soon see this isn't compensation for your suffering. It's the fulfillment of something bigger than the pain ever hinted at. I've released provision you never asked for, favor you didn't think to request, and answers you stopped believing for. Your tears reached places your words never could. Your sorrow activated a shift in realms where no earthly hand could interfere. I don't respond to performance. I respond to pain that surrenders. And your surrender has caused heaven to open on your behalf. This is not about comfort. It's about transformation. You are not just being rescued. You are being redefined. You will no longer be identified by the trial, but by the testimony it births. Earth tried to treat you with limitations, tried to label your capacity, tried to tell you what you'd never have. But the one who created Earth has stepped in with an override. I am rewriting the sentence over your life. I am speaking into the places where human help ran dry. This release will not resemble anything you've seen before, because it is sourced entirely from me. You thought your tears were signs of failure, but they were signals of breakthrough. You may not have felt me in the collapse, but I was orchestrating a flood of favor in response to every hidden ache. The weight you endured is about to be swallowed up by the magnitude of what I've sent, and I am not done yet. This is only the prelude. I need you to pause everything for a moment and take in what is unfolding, because this isn't just a moment of help. This is a demonstration of who I truly am. You've heard about my power, you've read of my wonders, but now I am personally inserting you into the evidence. What is rising before you isn't random. It's the exact fulfillment of what seemed inconceivable, arriving in a way that cannot be explained by effort, logic, or chance. I am proving myself through your situation, not because you demanded proof, but because I chose to reveal my might through your very impossibility. There are forces, timelines, and patterns that have always whispered to you, "This can't be done. It's too far gone. It's beyond fixing." But I am stepping into that exact narrative to shatter every lie it has spoken over you. This is not the time for you to shrink back in fear or suspicion. I am commanding your spirit to rise and recognize that you are standing in the middle of a miracle in motion. The clock you thought had run out is now under my control, and I am stretching time, reversing impact, collapsing delays, and bringing forward what should have taken years in just moments. Not because you earned it, not because everything lined up, but because I have chosen to use your life to display that there are no restrictions for the one who created time itself. Every impossibility you stared down, be it physical, emotional, financial, or spiritual, is now being placed beneath my authority. And I don't negotiate with the impossible. I dismantle it. You've wondered if you were asking for too much, if maybe your expectations were unrealistic. But I say to you now, you weren't dreaming too big. You were limiting me with what you settled for. I am not bound by the size of your request. I am responding to the size of my purpose, and my purpose in your life will not be silenced by statistics, reports, or timelines. You may have grown tired, you may have adjusted your prayers to fit what looked more possible, but I'm about to reignite something far greater than what you prayed for, because this is the hour where I leave no doubt that I am still the God who parts seas, multiplies what's insufficient, and raises what was declared lifeless. Watch me now. Everything that seemed immovable is trembling under my hand. Everything that stood in resistance is now unraveling. Not slowly, not eventually, but suddenly, unexpectedly, and powerfully. Because this is not the work of man, this is the movement of God. And I will not stop until you walk fully into what they said could never be done. The impossible is bowing, and I am still moving forward. You were confused when doors you thought were meant for you remained sealed, and opportunities you had worked hard for seemed to vanish just as you reached for them. But I was not punishing you. I was preserving something much greater. What looked like loss was, in reality, a rescue mission. I didn't allow those routes to open because their timing and content would have interfered with what I've been orchestrating behind the veil. Some connections you longed for were laced with distractions that would have drained you, not elevated you. Some plans you poured your energy into would have trapped you in cycles that delayed your destiny rather than fulfilled it. I saw further than you could, deeper than you knew to look, and I intervened with a firm hand, not to break your spirit, but to protect your promise. You see it now as disappointment, but you will soon recognize it as divine strategy. If I had permitted everything you prayed for, you would have ended up in a place far from the fulfillment I designed for you. The road you mourned was actually a misalignment. The timing you grieved was never set in heaven's calendar. I did not block you to restrict you. I did it to redirect you. You were never off. You were being routed for something time-sensitive, something heavy with impact. something prepared specifically for your voice, your gifts, and your calling. Had you continued down those paths, your progress would have been interrupted by unnecessary warfare and invisible walls. I wasn't trying to delay you. I was accelerating you without your awareness by cutting off routes that only looked productive but held traps beneath their surface. I let some relationships fall away, not because they were all bad, but because they couldn't walk where I'm taking you next. I let some ideas crumble because their foundation couldn't sustain the weight of what's coming. I dismantled your comfort so that your faith could rise. I altered the landscape so that you would no longer depend on what's familiar. I wasn't trying to confuse you. I was trying to clear the path. Every place you felt shut out from was never meant to be your dwelling. You're not missing out. You're being preserved for the precise moment everything aligns. Without delay, without interference, and without the detours that once consumed your strength. I'm not holding you back. I'm setting you up. This is the season where blocked paths make way for prepared places, and where every stop sign you wept over turns out to be the very reason you arrive exactly on time. Don't mourn what didn't move. I had to stop it to release what's finally ready to begin. And I am still unfolding the next step as we move forward. There were moments when you stood before opportunities wide-eyed, thinking, "This is it," only to watch them close without explanation. It's done. It felt like you were being dismissed, like your worth wasn't recognized, like everything you offered was invisible in the eyes of those you hoped would see it. But what you didn't perceive was the danger hidden beneath the surface of those openings. While you interpreted it as dismissal, I was acting with urgency to protect you from harm that had dressed itself in disguise. Every no that echoed in your ears was a divine intervention in disguise, a redirection disguised as rejection. I saw the intentions you couldn't see. I knew the consequences that hadn't yet unfolded. I understood how that step, if taken, would have entangled you in snares disguised as blessings. You believed you were being overlooked, but the truth is, I was standing between you and situations that would have drained your purpose, distorted your vision, and delayed your calling. I saw the conversations behind closed doors, the motives not spoken, the alliances that were not pure, and I intervened in silence. You called it heartbreak. I called it mercy. I let certain relationships walk away from you because their proximity would have brought spiritual corrosion. I removed specific people from your inner circle, not because they were entirely evil, but because their access would have sabotaged the harvest I've been preparing for you. Some platforms weren't denied to belittle you. They were removed to prevent your anointing from being misused in places it wasn't meant to dwell. You were on the verge of stepping into traps wrapped in applause, invitations soaked in compromise, and paths that would have given you exposure but robbed you of peace. So I acted, not always with explanation, but always with precision. You wrestled with your own worth in the aftermath of being turned away. But what you didn't know was that the closed door was the wall I built to block the enemy's entrance. You questioned my silence, but I was speaking loudly through my actions, shielding you in ways you didn't recognize at the time. I wasn't trying to deny you access. I was securing the foundation you're going to need for what's next. When the smoke clears, you'll see it. You'll look back at those places where you weren't welcomed and realize they weren't safe. You'll thank me, not for what I gave, but for what I didn't allow. Because had you gone through that door, you would have been celebrated publicly while being drained privately. Now you're being set apart, not to isolate you, but to insulate what's holy inside of you. I know exactly what I'm doing, and soon what looked like rejection will be the very thing that confirms your protection. This is not punishment, it's preservation. I am still building forward. Don't compare your pace to the rhythm of others, because I'm not operating according to what they call normal. You've measured your progress by what you see others accomplish, by the milestones they parade, by the years you think you've lost. But I need you to understand something sacred. My timing is not slow, it's strategic. What looks like delay is often preparation in disguise, and where you feel late, I am declaring you perfectly positioned. I don't need decades to do what I can accomplish in days. I don't rely on the world's speed. I command a supernatural surge that overrides what should have taken years. In this very moment, I am collapsing what would have been long roads into sudden arrivals. I'm not just moving you forward, I'm making up for what was stolen, what was missed, and what was withheld. You won't even be able to explain how everything begins to line up. It will defy the systems you once thought were fixed. While they said you were too far behind, I was writing the very script where you emerge ahead without striving. I'm releasing alignment into places where chaos had rooted itself for years. What once crawled will now lead. What once took your energy to build will now rise effortlessly under my hand. Stop looking at the ticking clock as your enemy. It's not your taskmaster anymore. I own time, and I am stretching it, speeding it, and synchronizing it with your promise. There are people who laughed behind your back, thinking you missed your moment, but they will witness me speed up your harvest in a way that leaves no doubt it was divine. I'm orchestrating divine intersections, unexpected meetings, sudden opportunities, unexplained favor, because I'm no longer waiting for permission to move on your behalf. The appointments I'm setting for you are not ones you have to chase. They will arrive with undeniable clarity, and you will know they are from me because nothing will be forced. You won't need to beg, fight, or manipulate to keep what I'm about to place in your life. You'll walk into rooms you didn't go paying for. You'll be chosen for roles you didn't know existed. You'll receive confirmations that bypass every delay. This acceleration is not based on your performance. It's a demonstration of my sovereignty. I'm doing this because I said I would, not because the world says it's your turn, but because heaven has called it time. You are not late. You are not left out. You are not behind. You are right where I need you, and I am now releasing what no calendar could predict. Keep walking, because even now things are being fast-tracked behind the veil. This is the season where time bows to purpose, and you will see with your own eyes what acceleration by my spirit really looks like. The impossible is not coming. It's happening, and we're only getting started. There were whispers behind closed doors, assumptions made in silence, conclusions drawn from your quiet seasons. Many decided you had reached your ceiling. They saw your stillness as stagnation, your suffering as failure, and your absence from the spotlight as the end of your story. But what they didn't know is that while they were erasing your name from the lists of relevance, I was inscribing it into the pages of redemption. You were not forgotten. You were being prepared. While they measured your value by what they could see, I was forming something unseen, something beyond comprehension, something only I could authorize. This is not a comeback. It is a divine unveiling. I did not raise you to fit their predictions. I raised you to interrupt them. Those who thought you would fade into silence will now witness your elevation, not as a coincidence, but as a signature of my hand upon your life. I let their voices fade out because I never needed their approval to establish my plans for you. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to prove your worth. The miracle I'm orchestrating through you will speak louder than every doubt ever spoken over you. They will watch, and it will humble their assumptions. They will see, and it will shake their certainty. Because this isn't just about you rising, it's about me revealing. I am revealing my power through your story, in a way that cannot be mistaken for chance, for luck, or for skill. I will place you in spaces where the same ones who underestimated you will be forced to acknowledge that something greater is at work. And this won't be to shame them, but to awaken them. Your breakthrough will be a testimony that I raise up whom I choose, when I choose, and how I choose. No matter who walked away, no matter what labels were placed, no matter how many seasons seemed silent, I did not forget you when they did. I didn't leave when others stopped checking in. I've been holding you in a secret place, molding your resilience, anchoring your trust, strengthening what they overlooked. I've been setting the stage, not for revenge, but for revelation. And now I am positioning you in full view, not for performance, but for purpose. You are not returning to the place they left you. You are stepping into something entirely different, something their expectations could never contain. Because I don't raise people just to prove others wrong. I raise them to prove that I am faithful, intentional, and unstoppable when I declare someone chosen. You are that chosen one, and the miracle I've hidden in your life is about to unfold in the open. Every eye that turned away will now see you crowned in the favor they thought had skipped you. This is the moment where my promise overrides every false prediction. I have written your name into a testimony that will be talked about, not for your glory, but for mine. And what's coming next will silence every doubt with undeniable truth. I never stopped writing your story, and we're still moving forward. There is a shift taking place that you didn't orchestrate, yet it's moving swiftly in your direction. For so long, you've been conditioned to believe that breakthrough only comes by relentless striving, by exhausting every ounce of energy, by proving yourself again and again to systems that never saw you clearly. You've spent seasons running after answers, after healing, after stability, after recognition, feeling like every step forward was met with a door that never fully opened. But I am turning that pattern upside down. What is being released now isn't something you'll have to run after. It's something I've sent out already, set in motion, already following the trail of obedience you laid in hidden places. This isn't a pursuit that wears you out. This is a release that finds you exactly where I've planted you. You're not being called to perform your way into my provision. You're being positioned to receive what was set apart for you before the striving began. I've watched you labor in silence, give when you were empty, love when you were broken, serve when you were unseen. And all the while, I was commanding blessings to gather behind you like waves preparing to crash over the shore. They've been accumulating, gaining momentum, responding not to the noise of man, but to the fragrance of your surrender. You thought the waiting meant I forgot, but the waiting was the time I used to ripen what needed to arrive fully matured. I am not in the business of half-answered prayers. I am releasing something complete, undeniable in its clarity, undeniable in its origin. You won't have to knock endlessly. You won't have to wonder if this is finally the moment. What's coming carries a signature only heaven could write. It will walk through your life's front door, without striving, without performance, without fear of loss. The tables are turning, not because you shouted loud enough, but because I decreed it in the silence. This blessing is active, it's moving, it's alive, and it's not waiting for you to find it. It's on its way, already tracking your path through divine alignment. You may feel tired from the chase, but the chase is over. Rest now in the knowledge that what's hunting you isn't hardship, it's glory. What's closing isn't defeat, it's fulfillment. I've unleashed the promises that were kept for this precise moment in time, and they are approaching faster than you can anticipate. Favor is about to intersect your ordinary day with extraordinary precision, and you won't have to convince anyone. You won't have to defend the blessing. It will speak for itself. Let this be your new posture. not desperation, but expectation. You are not forgotten in a crowd. You are the destination of a divine outpouring. And everything I have declared over you will arrive on time, with strength, with provision, and with the kind of peace that no effort could buy. Stay where I've planted you. What I've spoken is already in motion, and what's chasing you now is far greater than anything you ever thought you had to pursue. You've looked at your life and wondered why things took so long, why progress felt like it moved in slow motion, while others around you seemed to sprint ahead with ease. You questioned if you missed a moment, misread a sign, or misunderstood my voice. But what you perceived as stagnation was my deliberate slowing, because what I am building in you is not meant to be rushed. You see, temporary things can be assembled quickly, but anything meant to last must be formed with care. I was not ignoring your desire for speed. I was establishing something that could hold what I'm about to pour into your life. I wasn't just preparing the promise. I was preparing you to carry it. Had I allowed acceleration without stability, the weight of what's coming would have crushed you. So I let certain things unfold slower, not to frustrate you, but to fortify you. The wait was a workshop where your endurance was shaped, your discernment sharpened, your faith stretched beyond comfort. And while it felt like nothing was happening, I was working underneath the surface, reinforcing your roots so the winds of change wouldn't uproot your destiny. I'm not interested in moments that look impressive but fade quickly. I'm establishing movements that withstand storms. The foundation I've laid during your quiet seasons is one no person can take credit for and no attack can destroy. I was removing instability from your thinking, pulling out the lies that told you faster was better, louder was stronger, and visible was more valuable. I was rewiring how you measure success, because what I'm doing in you doesn't require applause to be valid. It requires depth, and depth takes time. That's why you were hidden for a while. That's why it seemed like your efforts didn't bear fruit. I wasn't punishing you. I was building something from the inside out, a life that will not collapse under pressure, a calling that won't bend to the noise of critics, a peace that isn't disturbed by changes in season. I was anchoring you to my voice above all others, because what's coming will place you in positions where many voices try to influence your steps. I needed you to know mine so clearly that you'd never confuse another's echo for my direction. Every closed door, every canceled plan, every extended season of waiting, those weren't signs that I had forgotten you. They were the markings of divine architecture. I was constructing something eternal, something that generations after you will benefit from. You won't have to keep rebuilding your life because it wasn't rushed into existence. What's forming now is strong, refined, tested, and true. And when I begin unveiling it piece by piece, you will understand why I said not yet when you pleaded for right now. You'll see that the wait wasn't wasted. It was the foundation that makes collapse impossible. You're standing on something eternal, not emotional. And this is the moment I begin lifting the veil on what I've built in silence, so that others may see the masterpiece that only I could design. And we are still just beginning. While you were busy trying to keep peace, trying to stay silent, trying to stay kind even when falsely accused or misrepresented, I was taking note of every voice that rose against you in secret. You didn't know how much was said behind your back, how many lies were whispered to damage your reputation, how often your name was handled carelessly in places where you weren't even present to defend yourself. But I heard it all, and I moved, not with vengeance, not with retaliation, but with justice. I silenced their words before they could reach the destination they were aimed at. I intercepted their intentions, routed their influence, and confused their strategy. What they said in shadows never reached the ears of those who mattered, because I placed my hand over the mouths that carried poison. You wanted to explain yourself, to clear your name, to speak your truth, but I told you to stay still, not because I didn't care, but because I was handling it on a level far above theirs. And while I shut their mouths, I began opening gates, pathways they tried to block, opportunities they said you didn't deserve, favor they claimed you'd never find. I opened them with such divine timing that no manipulation could close them again. They thought their words could cancel what I had ordained, but their curses held no weight against my will. I turned their declarations into dust and transformed their curses into confirmation. For every word they spoke against you, I released a blessing to overshadow it. For every attempt to stop your rise, I accelerated your momentum. You don't even know how many rooms your name was brought up in, not to promote, but to diminish. And yet I used it all as fuel. I used their words as soil, their mockery as fertilizer, and their doubt as scaffolding for what I was building. That's why it didn't touch you. That's why it didn't break you. That's why even when they expected you to fall, you kept standing. Because I wasn't just defending you, I was revealing you. I let their words die in their mouths and let my purpose speak through your life. They thought the doors they tried to shut would stay closed, but I have keys they know nothing about. I don't need their permission to position you. I don't need their approval to bless you. What I open, no one can seal. And what I silence, no one can revive. Don't be afraid of what they may say next. Their words have no power here. You are surrounded by my hand, shielded by my authority, and anchored in my promise. The gates they tried to guard with pride are now swinging open under the weight of my decree. And the ones who tried to block your path will be the first to see you walk through it, anointed, unbothered, and unshaken. Because I am the one who defends when you are silent, and I am not done moving on your behalf. This is still unfolding. The quiet season didn't mean you were forgotten. It meant I was designing something that required stillness, not noise. While you longed for direction, validation, and breakthrough, all you seemed to receive was silence. And that silence felt heavy, even painful at times, like the absence of me. But child, I was never absent. I was speaking, just not in the way you expected. I was planning in dimensions that words would have only disrupted. You kept asking me to move faster, to show you a sign, to bring clarity through open doors, but instead you were met with what looked like divine distance. I wasn't far, I was focused. I was architecting something intricate that could not be rushed by noise. In the silence, I was surrounding you with precision. I was cutting ties you didn't know were hindering your direction. I was forming answers that needed time to mature before they could be delivered. I was creating solutions that wouldn't just bring relief, but would rewrite entire patterns. You didn't hear me because I was protecting the blueprint. If I had revealed the plan too soon, you might have shared it prematurely, with ears that weren't ready or hearts that weren't loyal. So I kept you hidden. I kept your surroundings quiet. And though it felt like inactivity, it was actually the most active season of heaven's construction in your life. I was downloading heavenly intelligence into your future. That delay was divine information being transferred. The stillness was strategy being seeded. That hush was wisdom being born in secret. Every moment that seemed empty was actually full of intention. I pulled you back, not to isolate, but to insulate, to strengthen your foundation before the next elevation. I needed to remove the distractions so I could pour in fresh revelation. I needed to still the voices so you'd learn to hear my whisper again. You see, when you're surrounded by noise, you react. But when you're surrounded by my strategy, you respond with discernment. That's why I quieted everything, not to punish you, but to prepare you for the weight of what's next. I didn't want you rushing ahead just because silence was uncomfortable. I wanted you rooted so deeply that when movement returned, you would know the difference between my voice and every counterfeit. What's coming requires strategic vision, and I couldn't allow it to be birthed in chaos. That's why I enveloped you in divine quiet. So when you step into what I've prepared, you will move not from pressure, but from clarity. You will no longer question every step. You will walk with authority. The very silence that once confused you will now empower you, because it wasn't empty. It was me surrounding you with the wisdom needed to carry what you prayed for. And now the stillness is lifting, the strategies are unlocking, and the next steps will become undeniably clear. You are emerging, but not as you were. You are emerging refined, focused, and fully aligned with the blueprint of heaven. You've been trying to make sense of the intensity that's gripped your heart lately, the sudden weight that settled over your chest without warning, the unexpected tension in your thoughts, the unseen battles pressing in around you. It didn't feel like normal stress. It didn't behave like ordinary trials. It came in waves, in quiet hours, in moments where nothing was outwardly wrong but everything felt overwhelming. And you assumed something was wrong with you, that maybe you had failed me, missed something vital, or disappointed me in ways you couldn't trace. But hear me now. What you've been experiencing is not a reflection of my displeasure. It's a signal of spiritual proximity. Pressure is often the last force felt before a breakthrough ruptures the atmosphere. You were standing closer to your shift than you realized, and your spirit began to tremble under the unseen weight of what was about to open. The pressure didn't come to destroy you. It came to prove you had arrived at a threshold. It came to confirm what the enemy already knew, but hoped you wouldn't discern, that you were one step away from something irreversible. Pressure increases where purpose intensifies. What felt like collapse was actually stretching. Your capacity was being widened for what's never been carried before. Heaven wasn't testing your limits. It was expanding them. You weren't being crushed. You were being strengthened beneath the surface. I allowed the pressure because what's coming would not fit inside a vessel that hadn't been fortified. And though the pressure pushed you to tears, pushed you to the edge, pushed you into silence, it also pushed you into deeper prayer, into surrendered stillness, into relentless trust. You didn't break, you bent. You didn't quit, you paused. And in those sacred pauses, I was depositing a resilience you never knew you could hold. Oh, this wasn't punishment. It was a signature of birthing, the groaning of the unseen becoming reality. When something holy is about to emerge, pressure precedes promise. And now that it has pressed everything false out of you, false timelines, false fears, false identities, I can finally pour the fullness of my plan into what remains. You are not fragile, you are forged. You are not delayed, you are destined. And that weight you felt, it was the echo of what's about to shift permanently in your favor. You held on under pressure, and now I'm about to lift you with power. We are not retreating, we are crossing over. You've been looking at the stillness and wondering what went wrong, assuming that the absence of motion means the plan has halted. But I want you to stop and listen deeper, not with your ears, but with your spirit. This silence is not abandonment, it's divine alignment. You're not stuck, you're in the middle of sacred recalibration. I've halted certain movements externally so I can orchestrate critical rearrangements internally and around you. I'm not delaying you, I'm perfecting what surrounds you, so that everything matches the magnitude of where I'm taking you. Some things had to be shifted out, some connections had to be rerouted, and some environments needed to be restructured before I could safely release the next phase. I won't place you into a position that's not ready to carry what I've stored inside of you. You've outgrown certain levels. But the place I'm taking you into must also match the strength I've built in you. That's why things look paused, but they are only paused on the surface. Beneath what you see, I'm moving people, opportunities, resources, and even timing into perfect harmony with what I've ordained for you. It's not chaos, it's choreography. Every detail is being positioned to support the fullness of your promise. I am lining up favor with precision. I'm pulling people from distant places, moving hearts in unfamiliar rooms, and stirring events you haven't heard about yet, all for your benefit. What you thought was silence is actually strategy being completed. I don't move hastily, I move accurately. That's why I wouldn't allow you to enter into something underdeveloped or unprepared. I'd rather you sit in the discomfort of waiting than walk into something premature that can't sustain your destiny. This pause isn't punishment, it's preservation. It's the space I use to clear your path from interference and ensure that what I give you is not only good, but guarded. You don't need to panic. You don't need to question every step. I see the entire picture, and I'm adjusting every detail so that when I say go, you won't have to force your way forward. Things will fall into place without resistance. I'm not just preparing a moment for you, I'm preparing momentum. This pause is not a waste, it's a protective seal on your transition. Let me finish the arrangement, and you'll see that the very stillness you feared was actually the sound of me setting the stage for something irreversible. When I move again, it will be swift, it will be clear, and it will leave no doubt that I've been working the entire time. You are not forgotten in this pause. You are being positioned for glory. They looked at your life from the outside and drew conclusions based on limited vision. They saw setbacks and assumed defeat. They measured your silence and mistook it for surrender. They noticed what looked like closed doors and decided your chapter had ended. But what they didn't know is that I had already stepped into the script and begun writing a new narrative, one that would interrupt every false assumption, override every premature judgment, and completely reframe what they thought they knew about you. You were not being diminished. You were being drafted into something higher. I allowed the outer appearance of loss to remain long enough to expose the thoughts of those around you, not to embarrass you, but to distinguish who was aligned with my voice and who was aligned with assumption. While others counted you out, I was counting the exact moment to unveil the reversal that I've been scripting in silence. You thought the delay was a detour, but it was actually my hand reaching in and rearranging every broken piece into something miraculous. I don't recycle failure, I transform it. I don't cover up collapse, I reconstruct glory from its ruins. You see ashes, but I see the foundation of an altar. They saw the end of your ability, but I saw the beginning of your appointment. I let it look like nothing was working so that when I move, they'll know it wasn't your influence or intellect. It was my hand, unmistakable and unstoppable. I am taking what was meant to bury you and turning it into the very soil from which your next season will bloom. You've been in the shadows, overlooked, misjudged, maybe even forgotten by people, but not by me. I've been active in your silence, working in the unseen, touching the areas you didn't know were broken, healing what you hadn't even prayed about yet. I was rewriting things they never saw, because I write in dimensions they can't perceive. That mistake you thought ruined everything, I've already folded it into the testimony that will lift others. That moment of collapse that you kept reliving in your mind, I've already turned it into a gateway for supernatural restoration. The opinions of man don't have the power to cancel my plans. Your analysis doesn't override my anointing. I am the author and finisher, and I don't let my stories end in shame. The chapter they judged you by was not the final one. What's coming next won't match their expectations. It will eclipse them. This is not a recovery story. It's a resurrection. And every outcome they predicted will crumble in comparison to what I'm about to release through you. I am reversing timelines, redeeming moments, and revealing the masterpiece that only I could create from the mess. So don't resent the ones who misread you. Just remember that I am not done writing, and the next line I pen will shift everything they thought they understood. They saw failure. I saw a setup for divine rewriting, and the new ending will silence every lie. You passed by it so many times, shaking your head, convincing yourself to move on from it because it seemed too far gone. It looked dry, unresponsive, barren, like nothing good could come from it, no matter how much you had poured into it before. You told yourself to stop expecting anything from that area, to stop hoping for life where only silence remained. But I never told you it was over. You judged by appearance, by the quietness, by the lack of visible growth, but I have always dealt in the unseen. What you thought was a grave was actually a garden, and I was working in hidden soil all along. The situation you buried in disappointment, the relationship, the dream, the opportunity, the open door that closed too soon, is the very place where I'm breathing again. Not because of anything you did in this moment, but because of what I planted through your faithfulness in previous seasons. You didn't walk away in bitterness. You didn't curse the loss. You surrendered it, even if it was painful, and your surrender became a seed. You thought it was gone, but I've been watering it with mercy behind the veil. I let it appear dormant so I could develop it without interference. I let others overlook it so I could bring it back without delay. I needed the field to be empty, so when I bring forth new life from it, there will be no question about who did it. This isn't revival through your hands, it's resurrection through mine. And it's coming from the exact place where you stopped expecting anything to rise. The breakthrough you've been pleading for will not arrive from some distant, mysterious corner. It's going to emerge from the place you almost gave up on, the conversation you never thought would happen again, the door you assumed was permanently sealed, the healing you thought would never return. Watch as I ignite it with fresh breath. You won't have to push it open. It will bloom right in front of you. This miracle won't be manufactured. It will be undeniable. And those who saw it lifeless will witness it living. They'll have to reconcile the fact that what they called over, I've called appointed. I bring beauty out of dead things, and I'm not finished demonstrating that through your life. Let this moment remind you, I don't need favorable conditions to release glory. I don't need validation from others to bring my word to life. I only need your heart to believe again, even slightly, that I can do it. So lean in, look again. The thing you left behind, thinking it was useless, is beginning to tremble with purpose, and soon it will burst forth in such a way that you'll realize it wasn't wasted time. It was just underground preparation for the kind of outcome that cannot be explained, only worshipped. I am the God who brings light into places long left dark, and now the very soil you wept over will testify of my power. What's about to unfold will not resemble anything you've seen before. It won't be an inversion of your past. It will be an entirely new reality, shaped by my hand, built with materials you didn't even know existed. This won't be a continuation of old chapters, but the unveiling of a story so transformed, even you will pause and ask, is this really my life? I am not simply restoring what was lost. I am releasing what's never been tasted, never been touched, never been imagined by you or anyone around you. What's coming will not be familiar. It will feel like a dream you never dared to articulate. There will be moments where you stand in awe, not because everything is perfect, but because you will finally see what it looks like when my fullness meets your surrendered space. You've known what it's like to survive. You've known what it's like to press forward with scraps, to build with brokenness, to remain faithful in famine. But now you will know what it feels like to thrive under open skies. This version of your life won't carry the residue of past rejection, fear, or striving. I've stripped that off of you, even when you weren't aware. You've been shedding old limitations, breaking silent agreements with insecurity, and shedding layers of pain disguised as protection. And now, as I unveil what's next, you'll realize why it all had to happen the way it did. The version of you that emerges in this next season will no longer shrink to fit into old rooms. You'll walk with clarity you didn't have before. You'll speak from a place of authority that wasn't learned through education, but birthed through endurance. The things that once confused you will now serve as confirmation. You will recognize divine alignment faster, discern distractions sooner, and move with a confidence that comes not from applause, but from communion. You won't need to announce this transformation. It will radiate from your life. Those who once knew you in your wilderness will see you walking through harvest and wonder how it happened so suddenly. But you will know it wasn't sudden, it was sacred. I was building this quietly, piece by piece, while others were busy writing you off. I was reintroducing you to your original design, to the blueprint I wrote before time knew your name. And now the layers are falling off, the veil is lifting, and the dream is becoming real. You will step into places that were never on your radar and feel peace that can't be explained. You will speak into lives with a weight that doesn't come from performance, but from having walked through fire and found me there. You will no longer be haunted by the thought of what could have been, because what is coming will surpass everything you thought you missed. This dreamlike reality isn't fantasy, it's fulfillment, and it will settle so deeply within you that you'll stop bracing for loss. You'll stop expecting disappointment. You'll stop questioning if you're worthy of what's being given, because I will saturate every part of this new chapter with proof that it was always me. Not your effort, not your striving, not your perfection, just me and your willingness to believe. So get ready, not for a repeat, not for a recovery, but for a reality that looks nothing like the wilderness you just survived. You won't recognize this life because I've transformed everything, including you. And what's coming is exactly what I've always seen. Everything that once stood before you as a giant, towering in defiance of your prayers, mocking your hope, and laughing at your faith, has now been placed beneath my dominion. Those barriers that refused to move when you tried to push them, those tightly locked circumstances, those unchangeable reports, those decisions labeled final, are now bowing before the weight of my command. I am not asking for permission from natural laws. I am not negotiating with what man has declared permanent. I am not limited by diagnoses, deadlines, statistics, or verdicts. I operate above what the mind can comprehend. And now, by the power of my authority, I have issued a reversal in realms you cannot see yet, but will soon witness in undeniable form. I have overwritten the resistance that once mocked your prayers. I have taken control over the timelines that once felt like enemies to your destiny. I have restructured the systems that once said no to your movement. You do not serve a God who merely reacts to circumstances. You serve the God who rules over them. I speak and molecules shift. I breathe and environments respond. My word does not suggest, it commands. And what once appeared immovable has been forced to yield. You are no longer wrestling against the weight of impossibility. I've stripped its voice. I've silenced its threat. I've dismantled its grip. You are now walking into a territory where what was once out of reach is now being laid at your feet. Not because the system changed, but because I've stepped into it with you. When I enter a situation, laws bend, nature shifts, and impossibilities collapse. There is no such thing as too far gone under my watch. There is no such thing as unfixable when my name is present. The things you were told would never change, the mindsets, the conflicts, the generational patterns, are all being reordered under the weight of my dominion. I am not asking for time to make it work. I am making time serve my intention. I am not trying to find a way. I am declaring that the way is already made. What was once mocked as foolish hope is now being vindicated. You will not have to explain how it happened. They will look at you and see the evidence of what happens when heaven speaks and earth must obey. There are things about to occur in your life that have no natural explanation because they don't originate from natural processes. They are divine interruptions, interventions that feels too big. Don't disqualify yourself when I begin placing you before people who seem beyond your reach. I did it. Not them, not the system, not coincidence. I did it, and I will sustain what I've initiated. You are not entering unknown places. You are walking into spaces that were already prepared to receive the gift of who you are. So lift your head. Your name has gone ahead of you, and now your steps will follow with confidence, because I have made room for you where you didn't even know space existed. You didn't understand it then. The doors that wouldn't open, the opportunities that dissolved right when you thought they were secure, the relationships that ended without warning, the delays that made you question everything. You stood in front of each closed-off moment, wondering what more you could have done, questioning whether something inside of you was lacking or broken. But I was never rejecting you. I was redirecting you to something so tailor-made, so sacred, so precisely aligned with my will that none of the earlier options could compare. Those no's weren't meant to hurt you. They were meant to protect you. They weren't punishments. They were proof that I was intimately involved, keeping you from building your life around what would never carry the weight of your calling. I said no to what you thought you needed, so I could say yes to what you never imagined was possible. I allowed the detours not to confuse you, but to position you where my yes could meet you with full force, without compromise, without conditions, without delay. The reason the yes is coming now is because you've been refined in the waiting. You've been strengthened by disappointment and anchored by trust, even when answers were nowhere in sight. You didn't walk away when you were overlooked. You didn't become bitter when the door slammed shut. You kept moving, you kept praying, you kept believing, and I took note of every moment. I honored the faith that stood even when the future looked blurred. And now I'm rewarding it with something that carries my breath, not just man's approval. The yes that's forming in your life won't just be an opportunity. It will be an unveiling. It will make sense of the silence. It will redeem the rejection. It will soften the ache of the years you spent trying to make the wrong doors work. And when it arrives, it won't come with striving. It won't come with chaos or confusion. It will be clear. It will be covered in peace. And you will know not because someone told you, but because everything in your spirit will recognize the sound of my hand opening, what no one else could touch. This yes won't resemble the offers you tried to force. It won't require you to shrink or compromise. It won't ask you to perform or pretend. It will feel like home. It will feel like exhale, because I am not answering you based on pity. I am answering you based on promise. I am not giving you leftovers. I'm giving you what was set apart from the beginning, hidden in plain sight until your heart was ready to receive it. So don't mourn the doors that closed. Don't replay the conversations that ended. Don't grieve the plans that unraveled. They were never the destination, only detours to keep you moving toward what I had reserved for you. What you're about to walk into was worth every no, and when you see it unfold, you'll understand why I had to protect your yes until now. This moment is not just about adjusting your surroundings or altering your conditions. It's far deeper than shifting your external reality. It's about reshaping how you see yourself through the lens of who I've always known you to be. You've spent so much time trying to survive the storm, hoping for peace, for provision, for clarity. And while I am bringing those things to you, I am doing something more profound beneath the surface. I am restoring your sense of identity, not the one shaped by trauma, by timelines, or by others' limited perspectives, but the one rooted in my truth about you. The struggle did not define you, but it did reveal to you areas where you had begun to settle for less than what I placed within you. The pain didn't ruin your purpose. It revealed just how deep your purpose really runs. I allowed the pressure not to crush you, but to uncover the layers that life, fear, and failure tried to bury. There were titles you picked up along the way: broken, unworthy, invisible, inadequate. And though you never spoke them aloud, they lived silently in the way you thought, prayed, and believed. But now I am tearing down every false name, every damaging belief, every inherited limitation that tried to anchor your identity in struggle. You are not what you've been through. You are not what you lost. You are not defined by the moments that tried to break you. You are who I said you were before the world ever got a chance to label you. And through this transformation, I'm not just restoring what you had. I am revealing who you are. I'm awakening the warrior you forgot existed, the visionary who once dreamed without fear, the child who trusted me without needing to control the outcome. This shift will reach into how you carry yourself, how you speak over your own life, how you expect goodness, how you step into rooms. Because when your identity changes, everything else follows. That's why this transformation isn't cosmetic, it's core deep. You won't need to pretend, you won't need to prove. You'll simply move with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you were created with intentionality, and everything in your life now aligns with that divine truth. Even your prayers will shift. They won't come from desperation, but from intimacy. You won't beg for what you've already received by inheritance. You'll walk like a son. You'll believe like a daughter. You'll no longer carry the residue of rejection into spaces meant for royalty. I am restoring your voice, not just what you say to others, but what you say to yourself when no one else is around. I'm healing the inner narrative that played on repeat for years, convincing you that you were always falling behind, always needing to do more to be enough. It ends now. This is not self-help. This is divine redefinition. I'm not just changing the landscape around you, I'm remaking the one within you. And when you see the shift, don't be surprised when things that once intimidated you now seem small. Don't be shocked when places that once rejected you now seek your presence. It won't be arrogance, it will be alignment. You're finally becoming who I designed you to be, and that identity can't be taken from you again. What you've seen as limitation, what made you feel behind, unqualified, or inadequate, is about to become the very place where my glory will shine the brightest. You spent so long hiding what you thought disqualified you, trying to cover the places that felt vulnerable, uncertain, or not enough. But I have not asked you to be flawless. I have never required perfection in order to release my power. In fact, it is in those raw, unpolished spaces where you've wrestled, doubted, and barely held on that I am preparing to move with power no one will be able to deny. The things you tried to fix before you felt ready, the areas you believed had to be strong before you stepped out, those very parts of your life are being targeted by my strength. I'm not using you in spite of your weakness. I'm using you through it. Because when I move through the cracks, the vessel cannot take credit. When I pour through the places that the world overlooked, they'll know it wasn't you, it was me. You've prayed for me to take away the burden, but what I am doing instead is revealing how I'm using the burden to show that nothing can stop what I've ordained. Not fear, not fatigue, not failure. You are about to witness what happens when grace becomes your supply and not your own effort. You're not disqualified by your anxiety, your exhaustion, your history, or even your hesitation. You're not too fragile for what's next. You're not too flawed to be filled. I am the God who takes trembling hands and turns them into instruments of healing. I am the God who speaks through uncertain voices and still makes the earth respond. The strength I'm releasing into your life now isn't coming from your ability, it's flowing from your surrender. And your surrender has spoken more powerfully in heaven than all your efforts combined. You thought you had to get stronger first. You thought you needed to be bolder, louder, more confident. But I've already chosen you in your current condition because I know what's inside of you. I placed it there. I'm not banking on your resume. I'm relying on the yes you whispered through tears. That yes, uttered through weakness, carries more weight than 1,000 confident declarations. You may not feel powerful, but that's exactly what makes room for my presence to overtake your atmosphere. When you finally lay down the pressure to be everything, I step in and become everything through you. And now the places where you once faltered will become platforms. The areas where you felt overlooked will now draw attention, not to your strength, but to my hand. I'm turning your inability into invitation. I'm transforming what once made you feel disqualified into the very evidence of my faithfulness. You will soon see that people are drawn not to your perfection, but to the light they see shining through your honesty, your humility, your humanity. You won't have to pretend. You won't have to project a version of yourself that looks stronger than you are. You'll just have to show up. I'll handle the rest. My power will carry what your muscles never could. My spirit will speak what your mouth struggled to articulate. My presence will fill every gap you thought would disqualify you. This is not the story of your strength, it's the story of mine. And I will use your weakness to write it loud and clear. There were attacks launched against you that you never even knew about. Words spoken in secret, plots formed in shadows, thoughts filled with envy, and actions meant to throw you off course. But while you focused on standing still in faith, I was standing guard in war. I saw the weapons being crafted. I heard the conversations drenched in doubt and division. And before their intentions could reach you, I confused their strategy. I scattered their unity. I broke their alignment. They can't explain why their plans fell apart. They don't know why doors they tried to block for you suddenly opened wider. It's because I stepped in without warning, and what was meant to harm you collapsed before it could even be carried out. The confusion they are experiencing is not random. It's divine disruption. I dismantled the agreements made behind closed doors. I caused their alliances to turn on each other. I created misfires in their plans so that every move they made only served to position you higher. I am not a passive observer of your life. I am your defender, your fortress, your shield. And while I confused your adversaries, I simultaneously wrapped you in a peace they could never steal. That's why you felt calm when logic said you should have panicked. That's why you could sleep even when the pressure around you intensified, because while they were scrambling, you were being sheltered. I gave you peace that bypassed understanding and protection that never made headlines, but kept you covered just the same. You didn't need to retaliate. You didn't need to explain yourself. You didn't have to match the energy of those who misunderstood you. I didn't call you to defend yourself. I called you to dwell in me. And because you did, I fought battles you never even saw. I blocked arrows before they reached your mind. I intercepted lies before they became rumors. I canceled plans of sabotage before they matured into action. You thought the quiet was just the absence of noise, but it was the presence of divine security. That stillness wasn't emptiness. It was my whisper saying, "You're safe." You didn't see the war because I won it before it touched you. And now you're entering a season where that peace I wrapped around you will increase. Not because the attacks have stopped completely, but because they no longer have access to your soul. You've been elevated above the reach of what once tormented you. They can talk, but they can't touch. They can try, but they won't triumph. You've been sealed by my favor and insulated by my hand. You're not in the same position anymore, and neither are they. Let them wonder. Let them question. Let them sit in the confusion they created. It will not touch your clarity. While they sit in division, you will walk in unity. With me, with purpose, with supernatural direction. So rest. You are not exposed. You are encircled. I have made a distinction between you and those who warred against your assignment. I have blinded their strategies and revealed my peace to your heart. The conflict they launched will turn inward. The favor I've released will expand outward. And what they tried to bury will now bloom in full view. You stayed still when you could have fought back. You trusted me when you could have retaliated. And now I am honoring that surrender with a covering no chaos can undo. You've been surrounded, but not by fear, not by enemies. You've been surrounded by me, and nothing will get through without going through me first. For so long, you've learned how to make do, how to stretch what little you had, how to keep moving even when you felt empty. You've become skilled at managing lack, adjusting your expectations to disappointment, and finding strength in places that were barely holding together. I saw how resourcefulness became your routine, not because you wanted it that way, but because you had no other choice. You weren't walking in abundance. You were walking in survival mode. You learned how to smile while carrying invisible burdens, how to give even when your hands were already trembling from carrying too much. And I honored your resilience. I recorded every silent sacrifice. But now I am shifting your entire rhythm. You're not called to survive anymore. You're not called to just barely make it. You're not created to live on the edge of exhaustion and still call it a blessing. I'm ushering you into a flow of supernatural supply that doesn't rely on what you can gather, what you can hold together, or what you can calculate. This is not about budgets, logic, or earthly access. This is about heaven's river, unpredictable, unstoppable, and undeniably divine. You won't have to push for it. You won't have to scheme for it. You won't have to fight for scraps when I've prepared a table. You are now stepping into overflow, not for the sake of luxury, but for the purpose of impact. What I'm releasing into your life will not only meet your needs, it will exceed them. It will bless those around you. It will fund the vision I placed in your heart. You've been planning based on what's in your hand, but I'm telling you now, start planning based on who I am. I am not limited by your income, by your connections, by your history, or by what others think is possible. I'm about to provide in ways that will silence your doubt and shock your logic. You will find resources where you least expect them. You will discover favor in places you thought were closed to you. You will walk into rooms where provision is waiting, not because you asked the right people, but because you trusted the right God. This shift isn't temporary. It's structural. I am reordering the entire foundation of how you experience provision. I'm tearing down scarcity and rebuilding you in abundance. The days of just surviving are over. The days of robbing Peter to pay Paul, of hoping you can stretch it one more week, of doing without while pretending you're fine, they are ending now. I am not the God of barely. I am the God of more than enough. And that's what you're about to live in. not because you earned it, but because I've chosen to reveal my nature through you. You'll still live humbly, but not in fear. Beloved, what I have begun in you today is only the first page. Do not let this word fade into the noise. Anchor it now. Type, "I receive" in the comments as your declaration. Save this message so you can return when the battle feels loud. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and make this place your daily meeting with me. Tomorrow, I will add the next piece, and each time you return, the picture will become clearer. Share this with the one I've been placing on your heart. It may be their lifeline. Keep coming back to this altar. Your consistency will become your breakthrough. I am here. I will be here. Amen.